How's it going, everyone? Mick Ambrose from AllAboutTech. Welcome back to another video. Today is part 4 of question time with Richard Ells. Some really cool information coming up for you guys. If you haven't already, go check out parts 1, 2 and 3. As you can see by the views, I'm a little bit disappointed that the views are dropping off a little bit, but the information, there's so much important information here from an educational standpoint. And coming up in the videos as well, there's things that haven't been talked about before. So make sure you go and watch these videos, guys. A lot of effort's been put in place by not just myself, but others to get these videos out to you all. I appreciate all of the support. And without further ado, let's get straight into it with the next part 4, question time with Richard Ells. I hope you enjoy it. So going straight into the next question, Richard, in terms of the app, so many people on their smartphones, they have access to fingerprint ID, touch ID,
yep.
And then Google Authenticator, all these brilliant security measures, which obviously banking apps use. Do you plan on using Touch ID, Fingerprint and Google Authenticator type of things?
Fingerprint, certainly. Another one that you didn't mention is the contactless. So a lot of the Android phones have got RFID, so we can make use of that in contactless payments. We're looking at that as well. And what was the other thing you had?
Touch ID.
Yes, we've looked at that, and we will be doing it for the PIN number. What was it? Was
Google Authenticator.
Oh, Google Authenticator. So that's a slightly different thing. So that's a third-party app that is mostly used for 2FA, so two-factor authentication. We'd need to. There must be some sort of SDK for Google Authenticator. I'm not too sure how it works app to app. I've only ever used Google Authenticator from app to website, where you can scan a QR code. I'm not too sure about Google Authenticator's use with our app. The guys might be, but I'm not aware of it. I'm terribly sorry. I'll come back to you at some point in the future and answer that more specifically. But Touch ID, I know that we've looked at and the guys have been playing with, and they've been playing with Android's sort of RFID identifier, so that you could do, potentially you could do a contactless payment instead of having to scan a QR code.
Awesome stuff. And then in terms of just the fingerprint, would it be to log in as well as confirm payments with a fingerprint, or one or the other? Or
it would certainly. What I'd seen is that they had put it in place of the PIN number. So the concept of that would be that you'd still scan the QR code, and then where it says type your PIN number in at the moment to make the payment, you'd actually just use your thumbprint or whatever it is you've set, of course. So it's a great system. So I think we'll be making use of that. We've got so many great things on our roadmap for that app. We've got all sorts of things coming. Payment by telephone number, so you could pay someone by their phone number and we link it into their ETN address. Payment by their email address and we link it into their email account. So that opens up the world of different things. Payment by the telephone number also means that we can import the contact book. I've seen the guys working with the contacts from the phone and organising the permissions and stuff in our app. So I know all these things are on the roadmap. I haven't got a specific date for launch of these things, but they'll all be coming. As with everything, it's a process of getting out minimum viable proposition, making sure it all works, then releasing feature and feature and feature.
Add layers of functionality. Awesome stuff. Okay, so I want to talk about the instant payment system, if possible. So there's a couple of questions here in regards to the instant payment system. The first question I want to ask is, will the API be able to deal with refunds? So obviously in retail stores, say you've got say in the UK, you've got your 14-day consumer protection rights and stuff like that. Will there be a refund system in place? Because obviously with crypto, once you send it, it's gone.
That's right. Okay, so the answer is our minimum viable product that goes out with beta in the next couple of weeks, people will start implementing the API. There's no refund thing in place, but what it does is it shares the ETN address of the person who sent the payment, which will enable that person or store to make a refund if they choose to the ETN address it came from. Now, it's quite important. We will develop and it's very close on the roadmap. There will be a refund facility within the back end. So where merchants log in, where vendors log into the back end system, there's going to be an admin interface in there that enables people to do a refund, and that will be relatively quick coming. Within the next couple of months, that will exist. But for now, what it does is it actually shares the outbound ETN address with the person who's accepted the transaction as a vendor, which enables them to return the money back to that account if they wish to do so. It's important it goes back to the same ETN address. Within the crypto sphere, you have this slight fear in the marketplace of money laundering regulations. And if you accept a payment from one cryptocurrency address and do a refund to a different cryptocurrency address that you are not aware of where the holder is, you start falling under the AML, anti-money laundering regulations, and being in danger. So if imagine I said, I've accidentally, instead of paying you £10, I've accidentally paid you £10,000, could you please send that back to this ETN address? And you sent £10,000 back to that ETN address, but that ETN address was a bad actor in the world. They were someone bad. Suddenly you've just laundered that £10,000 for me. Thank you very much. This is where we get into the worlds of us we're now working with a couple of really big auditors in the world, and we're reaching out to the FCA and the people that run the regulated sphere of the world. So we're understanding exactly what we can do and what we can't do and what we must do, and putting in place the ability for us to take this to a global scale and let corporates deal with us and be comfortable with dealing with us. So we understand all this stuff with regards to anti-money laundering and know your customer. So yes is the answer. Short answer, yes, refunds are coming.
Awesome. So I'm going to go into just a couple more questions with the instant payment system, and then in the next video go into a bit more about the regulation side of things. So the next question on the instant payment system is, are you going to be collaborating with HackerOne to test the security of the API system?
They already are. So okay. The answer is yes. I could probably it seems so weird for me to not elaborate anymore. The answer is yes. Everything we launch gets tested by HackerOne. Otherwise, who knows what vulnerabilities there are. I mean, our guys, we bear in mind that nobody at HackerOne has ever claimed any of our major breach bounties. So we've never actually had a security breach. My goodness, I really need to touch a piece of wood there in a very superstitious way. But we've touched wood, never had a security breach that has paid one of the major bounties. So we seem to be doing the right thing, but we don't trust ourselves enough to say, hey, look, we can do this without any help. So we constantly run everything past HackerOne.
Awesome stuff. And then the other question in regards to the instant payment system is, what income streams will Electroneum look to ensure to monetize?
Brilliant. That's a brilliant question. I love that question, because a lot of people haven't understood that we are not just a hybrid of centralization and decentralization, which is kind of what we are. So we're a centralized wallet system with a decentralized blockchain. We're another hybrid as well. And we're a hybrid between fintech and cryptocurrency. So fintech businesses need a revenue stream, and we need a revenue stream. Someone's got to pay for all these servers that run these wallets from, right? Now, at the moment, we're paying for it from the ICO funds. So if you picture our ICO funds as Series A, Series B, Series C, we're probably up to Series D funding, in the ICO terms. We've raised a good chunk of money, and that pays for us to have all these different series of funding rounds all done at once. So if you picture other products that initially started out just on user acquisition, so those series of funding rounds, generally speaking, in fintech and in user-based businesses, is all about growing user numbers, and that's what we're on at the moment. So we're not all about making a revenue stream at the moment, but we're not silly. We understand that's coming. So we are, imagine the early days of Twitter, the early days of Facebook, literally no revenue stream. So that's where we're at. but that didn't make those businesses any less attractive. So we are the Twitter of the world, the Facebook of the world. What we're after is user numbers and huge user numbers. So 10 million would make me happy, but it won't make me do a little jig. What will make me do a little jig is tens of millions of users into 100+ million users. That's the sort of number that I would like to see as a fintech company. So at that stage, when you get to this sort of plateauing stage, or you get to a stage where you need to, one or the other, we would then say, okay, how do we monetize? And we've already looked at this, and the answers are there's huge opportunities to monetize. So every single vendor at the moment, imagine these guys are paying 2.5%-3% perhaps even to Visa or MasterCard. If they are in that world, if they're in the developing world, they're not using Visa or MasterCard, but you get the idea. They're paying a percentage for other digital payment method. We could introduce a fee to every vendor, and like I say, it's very important that we say this is a long way down track. We need these huge user numbers first. So I don't want vendors to be put off. I want vendors to be coming on board thinking, okay, well, fees are years away, because ultimately, if we get users, we can then say, let's introduce a really small fee. Earlier in a question, I talked about $1 or $2 a year in revenue. You got 100 million users and you got $1 or $2 a year in revenue, which is easy to get, I might add. $1 or $2 a year in revenue per user. Suddenly you've got a $500 million a year or something revenue fintech company, which is quite an exciting thing in itself. Now, we've got parallels. I talked about M-Pesa before. Their revenue streams are big. Go and Google M-Pesa. They're a fintech mobile product that is mostly used for transferring funds between one user and another in Kenya. It's basically a mobile wallet. It's a simple way of transferring value between users. Go and have a look at them. Go and have a look at the revenue streams they've got, and you could easily imagine that we would be able to do something along those lines. There are many other things. So, for instance, part of what we're looking at in the gig economy and enablement. So a lot of these people will just have a smartphone, as you said. They've got a smartphone. They've got very little else. We've got an amazing amount of correspondence that we've had with people that are in villages, and smartphone ownership is higher than shoe ownership, which I just love that fact. So because they've never bothered having shoes, right? But smartphones have come along, so they like the smartphone. Oh, we're still not going to bother buying shoes because I've got my smartphone. So they're very proud of their smartphones, but it just freaks me out a little bit that there's more smartphones than shoes. So the opportunities are monsters. Sorry, I lost track a little bit of my own. I went off on a sidetrack about shoes. Right. What were we saying just before then?
It was about monetizing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I do apologise. So in terms of monetization, these people have got a smartphone and very little else. So that smartphone enables them to start doing some things in the gig economy. But quite honestly, to really make the best of the gig economy, you need to have a laptop. But they might not have the funds to buy a laptop. But if you go out and have a look at this part of the economy as well, which is micro loans for financial inclusion, there's a huge push to try and get micro loans into these environments, because these people with a small amount of money to be able to buy a laptop in the first place know that they could use their digital skills to pay that off. And you'll be surprised at how much push there is to try and activate this. Again, it's the West trying to monetize that environment, but it's also quite an enabler for financial inclusion. Now, if you imagine if we're out there with tens of millions of users, even in the developing world, we could very easily suggest to these people that they could pay that in ETN, and once again there would be revenue streams available to us. I think we've identified about 3 or 4 major revenue streams that we could achieve in the future, but it's important to say we're not looking to do any of those yet. If we leave our revenue streams for down track, user acquisition will be faster, growth will be faster, because there are less barriers, and that's what we want. We want a barrier-free, super fast growth. And then just like Twitter or Facebook, once you've got huge user numbers, it's easy to monetize.
Definitely.
Sorry, long answer.
No, that's really,
there's some rambles in the middle.
It shows really good prioritizing on where you want to be first before you start thinking, because you've raised this money through the ICO.
Yeah, now, to do this.
Yeah, to do exactly this.
Yeah.
And not have to worry so much about the revenue until you're in a position where actually you can capitalize on it massively. Yeah. Rather than have it really small.
And in the traditional markets of IPOs, or not IPO necessarily, but certainly in the traditional VC space, then you would go for Series A, you'd get that money, you'd show growth, or you'd show product or whatever like we have, and then we'd go back and get Series B. That money would come in. Okay, now what's that for? Okay, well, it's to take it into these different exchanges and this different parts of the environment. You know, we get so many users on board. Okay, tick in a box. Now you go for Series C. That is just this traditional way of raising money and growing a business, but we've done it all at once in one ICO. So it's fantastic.
Fantastic. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that part. Lots of really, really good information there, guys. Talking about the app, what extra functionality they're going to be bringing in. Talking about monetization, how they plan on doing that, and that actually it's not important for them to do that at the moment. What they want is to get the mass amount of users. It's the same model Facebook and social media, massive social media sites did, and look at those now. And look at ETN and the fact that they grew to their first million users faster than these monster big social media websites, companies, etc. So if you liked this video, give it a like, subscribe to the All About Tech YouTube channel. It means so much to me. There's a couple more parts yet to come yet, some more amazing information on the way. So make sure you're subscribed to All About Tech, and I'll catch you guys out in the next video. Peace out.